everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about how to help our kids dealing with death. I'm Rita and today it's all about you. Grief is a normal and natural response to a loss of anything. Death is a normal and final part of our life. So we should be educated to see death as a natural process. But this is not what happens. For most of us, death can be overwhelming, confusing, complex, and something that we don't like to think or even talk about it. Children understand death in different ways depending on the different stage of development. But also social life and the environment that surrounds them can really influence their own reactions and their own perspectives. Besides that, it's really difficult to sum up all the support that a child or a teenager that is dealing with death and grief, because they also are complicated individuals that think, that feel, act and react in very unique ways. So for most of us, if you don't really know how to react with ourselves in this matter, it is really difficult to understand what we should do and what are the right things to do when it comes with the same topic for a child or for a teenager. Because actually for a parent, explain death can be simple. It really has to be honest, direct, and not to really think about the romantic part or the beautiful part of this topic. It is already complicated to deal with it, and it is also really complicated to help a child go through the grief phase. But for a child, they cannot really reflect their own thoughts and emotions like a teenager or like an adult. So here I will leave you with some tips about how to help a child passing through this phase and what is the better way of behave through these phases. So when you are explaining death to a child, use real words, because if you talk about going to sleep, you can eventually confuse a child and even make her think about the simple act of sleeping as a negative one. Any child in any age can understand that the body can eventually stop functioning, and maybe this is something in a very simple way that you can explain to a child that needs some kind of explanation about death. So explaining that this person just cannot eat or move or sleep or do anything else like this and like us again, because the body just stopped working, and make a child understand the reasons for this to happen in maybe this specific situation, and really try to be the most honest and at the same time the most direct that you can, without really using big words that eventually a small child can not understand, but at the same time using the real reasons and not really the storytelling time or the romantic time or any other kind of words that can really confuse a child. If you are a religious person, and if it is easy for you to explain what is happening to a person that is death, maybe you can use these religious explanation in order for your child to understand your point of view. After all your explanations, it is natural and even healthy that you give your child some space for her to think about all of this, to observe and to make questions that she eventually have. If it is easier for you, just use books or images or movies or videos to help you explain exactly what you want to explain. Understand that you have to be aware of the child age to do this and adapt all these materials to the age of the child. During your conversations with your child, make sure that she doesn't feel guilty about anything about this topic, and make her understand that this is definitive, that it is not possible to come back from death. Make sure that during this situation, during these hard times for everybody, the child receive love and support from you and from everybody that surrounds her, even if it's family or friends. Help a child to express their feelings with draws, with plays, with writing a journal or a diary or any other kind of forms that can help expressing something that sometimes it's hard to say out loud, or that is a small child that doesn't have words enough to express it. Be aware of express your own emotions, be real about your own emotions, but in a way that you are not overwhelming your child, because she has already her feelings that she has to deal with, and these probably are new feelings for her, so she has to learn to deal, and she doesn't need your feelings too on top of this. So understand that yes, you have to show some emotions, but understand that they are your emotions and that your child doesn't have to deal with them. Also understand that this is a kind of pain that came with waves, and it's totally unpredictable. So understand that this is something that it takes time, and it is different for everybody. You will react in a different way than your child, and your child will probably can eventually look like nothing really happened, but she's just processing everything inside her. If you feel that it is necessary, if you feel that both of you, your family and your child in general, can eventually be in a very difficult situation, maybe it's a good idea to encourage your child to talk to another person, somebody that knows how to listen and how to deal eventually with this kind of situations. It can be a teacher, it can be another family member, it can be an older brother or sister, it can be a friend, somebody that it will be willing to listen to your child and help her going through this process. Keep the same routines, the same cares, the same rules, the same behaviors, the same acts, because these routines and these acts are the ones that make your kid feel much safer, and in this situation this is something that a child really needs, is to feel safe and to feel certain about their space in their family. Encourage your child to keep play dates and contacts with their friends. This is important because even small children, they sometimes need an extra comfort that can come from a play with another child more or less with the same age. And this is important because it keeps not just the same routines, but also keeps the normality in their lives. Explain to your child that it is okay to have fun and to feel happy again, and she doesn't have to feel guilt about it. She doesn't have to feel disloyal to the person that died. This is a normal phase in life, and it is important to make a child understand that for people that is living, life goes on, and even if we are still grieving, even if all the pain is still in our memory, we need to maintain a normal life and to do things that give us pleasure and that make us feel happy about ourselves. If you are concerned about your child, talk to a healthcare provider, find a therapist, find somebody that can really listen to your child and that can eventually advise you to behave or to treat things in different way, or even to start some kind of therapy with your child if it is something that your child will need. If your child is not really in childhood anymore, and if your child is a teenager and not really in these childhood moments, you can treat in a different way. Remember that teenagers are not small adults, they are not children either, and there are special ways of dealing with things and help them dealing with this particular topic that can help you go through this phase together. And the first thing is to be there for your teen. Make him understand that it is important to talk about every time that it is needed. And he doesn't have to talk to you if it doesn't feel comfortable or if it's something that he doesn't want to, but you can encourage to seek other ways to talk about these things with a friend, with an adult, another adult, like a professor, like a teacher, like some kind of other person that it is in your teen life. Understand that in this phase you should not push your teenager to much more adult responsibilities. He needs his time to deal with this as a teenager and not really overwhelmed with the feelings that he doesn't know yet, and not really push the limits to an adult that it is not. Be a role model about this grief. Make him understand that this is a process. Give him some information about the grief process, even if it's just in books, in videos, in any kind of documentary, something that he will understand all of these processes, and encourage to express themselves in any other way, in some art way, journaling or any other ways of expressing what he's feeling during his grief process. Avoid saying things like your teenager needs to go strong, that he needs to grow up, or even to move on. Respect his moment in his grief and understand that each person has a different feeling and a different necessity of express their feelings, and take different times in the different stages of the grieving process. Teenager times are already too defiant and too difficult, and going through this grieving process is something that it's also very, very difficult for a teenager. I can tell you that for most of the cases is much more difficult for a teenager than for a child, because child has different kind of mechanisms and different kinds of not knowing things or knowing things in a different way, and teenagers, because they are having to deal with different situations about themselves, are having much more difficult times dealing with this death topic. Teenagers are still in development, they are not adults, their body are developing, their brain is still developing, and they are trying to understand what are these feelings, meaning how to cope with them, how to deal with them, and this is not just associated with death or with grief, but in their own life, in their routines. There are always different and new things that they will learn every day, and they will learn how to cope with all of these changes in a short notice and in a short time. So be empathic, understand the need of being with friends, be an open-minded, and try to be a trusty person that your teenager can come anytime that he needs, particularly in this process. And so that's all for today, guys. I hope you like it. I hope you subscribe to the channel, leave a thumbs up, share with a friend, comment if you want, and I'll see you next time for another video. Bye!